Gang, I'm unpaused again. Hey, I'm back after the longest, shortest year I can remember. But that's another story. But I am back and will be more regular now. And I have this pretty well scripted out on tab, so I'm just going to follow my script. And there'll be a little ad-libbing, of course. But let's just get started here. So there's the thumbnail. All the links for all this stuff's down there in case you want to look at it closer and see what exactly is on there. But it'll all be covered. And I hope that music doesn't bother anyone. It's 2 minutes of music. I mean, it beats the Premiere stuff, let's face it. You hear that on YouTube all the time. I can't stand that stuff. It drags on too long, usually. But I like that because it puts me in a little mood to do something here and peps me up a little bit. So, what are we doing here? We looked at the thumbnail. We always have this, fair use, because we are going to do a little cutting and pasting here. Not much, but I guess you'd call it reaction videos. So we're going to do a little bit of that. There's some hints on here as to what, who we'll be listening to. FBI, fair use, like, share, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Read the title and description. All right, this is below for you. The name of this thing is called Photonic Signatures, Reversed Engineers, Backward Physicists, Bombshell Shocker emoji. Okay, long time no see, but I'm back after a year, and like Korbin Dallas, I got something to say. Okay. It's, I don't know, 30 tabs. It's 55, okay? Tabs from just last month or so, when quite a bit of nuts and bolts happened. Almost as much as the entire year I was gone, moving, selling, buying, refurbishing, and getting settled in for my retirement, which I now am finally, I think. Now that tedium is over with, I am actually retired and don't have that hanging over my head. I'm here to start straightening out a few things. I should make myself bigger for that, just for the practice. Me only. I'm here to point at the camera, straighten out a few things. Getting out of hand over there without me on here. So, we're like what? Straighten out a few things. What things, you may ask? Skim the links below to get an overview. They are in order, so you don't have to listen to this whole thing. Just read those things and see what parts you might like. I will learn to make chapters and timestamps as I get back into this. I think I did once by accident. There's an auto program. Anyway, if you care about the propulsion and free energy wing of UFOworld, this is for you. If not, find some other bombshell shockers and gossip channels and X spaces. You have plenty to choose from. That may sound dismissive, but it really isn't, because I follow those too, to an extent. But this is not that. This is for people that want to know why that guy in the future is saying, I told you so, back in 2026, and a good decade before even that. All right, you're caught up in reverse. Thanks for watching, or at least reading this far. Enjoy the mind-numbing minutia. All right. So this thumbnail, I always make them first. Everyone makes them last. I don't know why. Why would they do it backwards? And this is about photonic signatures. Something's got to get me to get going now that I'm settled in. That and the show me the UFOs thing with Eric W. Davis and the other Eric W. Say it right. Weinstein. Yes. Reversed engineers, backward physicists, bum fight, smackdown, takedown, shocker bombshell. Physicists called out for being suckers and losers. And there's Trump, and there's me screaming like every other thumbnail. And he's on there because of his announcement. We'll get to that. And if you don't know who I am, I mean, if you stumbled over this for the very first time, I feel sorry for you having to listen to any of this gibberish. But if you want to figure out what am I getting at, there's a link below. Light pumping for an anti-gravity inertial mass reduction effect. It's a web page that basically tells you why I'm here, who I am, what I'm doing here, etc. and so forth. Or you could go look at 25 plus videos I did. Now some of them are repetitive, but there's quite a few there, and they are a couple of years old, and they go back and they tell the story. And I am on YouTube and Rumble. I actually get more views on Rumble. Anyway, and look at all this stuff. This is all the stuff I've done on this UFO type technology and what I think it is. And if you go back and read this, you're going to understand what I think it is in pretty much plain English, and what I'm about. So you walked into the middle of a movie, you know. Anyway, so let's get started with what? With this. This is what got me started. Wow, was that interesting. And we have a timestamp, and we're going to listen to something, and I'm going to comment on it, just like a real UFO podcast on YouTube. But wait. I got interrupted. This is all, you start making these tabs, and you're like, I'll do it Friday or whatever, and 6 more things happen. But like I said, so you got to keep adding to the tabs. That's how you get from 30 to 55. So, so something interrupted that, even took precedence over that. But wait, there's more. You have to be a little older to remember this guy. Anyway, but wait. So we're going to wait. What are we waiting for? We're waiting for this. Let's put on our headphones and listen to this. We're going to listen to someone else's video, and we claim fair use. And thank you, Holocipher. I think you cut that from something else. I actually paid to watch, so that helps. But we're going to comment on this. Let's listen up. This is Gary Newman. Gary Nolan from UFO fame, commenting on arts parts, magnesium and bismuth layering. And what does that mean? Okay, let's listen, shall we?
So we've also been looking at the so-called arts parts materials, and as many others have reported, it is a layered material, and I'll show you something interesting about it in a minute that shows that it's clearly manufactured and not the results of some smelting process. This is magnesium oxide in between here, and it's also very clear, if you look at these bubbles here, that this was exposed to extreme heat, and which would be coincident with...
Huh? Coincident? Oh boy, it stopped. Well, let's pause for a moment. Maybe come back. Alright, we're unpaused. I don't know what that is. Oh, it came back on. Oh, it's showing me this thing takes one, doing multiple commands. Alright.
And not the results of some smelting process. This is magnesium oxide in between here. And it's also very clear, if you look at these bubbles here, that this was exposed to extreme heat, and which would be coincident with the supposed origin being at the blast site of near Roswell, and somehow being part of a catastrophic crash of some object. There's definitely magnesium oxide here. There's definitely bismuth layering in between. Of course, we all know Hal's proposal that this would fit the idea of a metamaterial or a waveguide. I can't speak to that, but it's also, as I said before, it was clear that it was exposed to heat. It wasn't made in heat, and that was the purpose, and that's why these bubbles are here. These are post-manufacturing heat bubbles from some of the inner molten material. So we actually did run a bit of a reflection, and it does absorb in the right area. I know that this is the same area where carbon dioxide absorbs, but we did do the controls, and this absorption criteria is due to the object itself. It is not due to just absorption of the FTIR in the air, because I know people have asked me that previously. So it's actually in the range of what Hal has suggested. It absorbs. What we have not done on the other side is see, well, if it absorbs, what does it emit? So that's the one
What? Yes.
of the next steps that we'll be taking this material.
Because that's what you're doing, absorbing and emitting, okay? That's the key to this stuff. See why I had to interrupt those guys? Show me the UFO guys. Okay, this is why. Because he's showing you. He's showing you. He's showing you, and I'm telling you, and I have been.
So getting a hold of multiple examples of that. There's other, let's say, chains of evidence of this material. The last thing that we did on this is basically looking at the crystallographic grain structure. So basically what you're doing is you're bringing in a beam of electrons, and their backscatter diffraction tells you the angle of the crystals. So this is the proof that this was made this was materially constructed, is that the angle of the crystals of the magnesium here
I love the color on that. That's beautiful bismuth.
are, first of all, clearly perpendicular to the bismuth layering for some reason. Now, these different orientations of the grains that are different colors, basically this is how the electron backscatter is coming back according to the grain, the crystal structure of the grains.
And you'll see it comes back in multiple colors, which means, well, you'll find out. Keep listening to me.
I don't know whether that was pre-built in or is a function of the deformation due to the heat or other exposure that this was this endured. But the fact, though, that it does have these perpendicular grain structures is not something you would expect to see in a smelting process where people have claimed this is the bottom of a lead smelting system. So is the magnesium oxide here, was it originally magnesium, or is it magnesium oxide because it's been exposed to air for such a long time? I don't know. But it's something to look at a later point if there's some larger pieces.
Probably original. We'll discuss that in a few minutes because that'll move a lot of wavelengths, as does bismuth. A lot of people know about bismuth, but you have to look into magnesium oxide and you will see that it moves, we'll discuss it briefly, a heck of a lot of light, which is what we're doing here, in case anyone wonders. So, what was I going to say about that? Yeah, it's magnesium itself is not a good waveguide, so I'm saying it's manufactured. If they're these are advanced intelligences, are as advanced and intelligent as they should be, because that's what an advanced intelligence is gonna do, move stuff like that with bismuth and magnesium oxide. When I say that, I mean what's in space, which is what? Temperature, among other things, but it's a lot of temperature, as we'll see.
Where we could get to the center of it, where it might not have been exposed to the air. But
Gary,
this
I don't
high
mean to
variation,
interrupt you.
These are individual grains.
All right, Gary's done there. Why would you interrupt him? I remember watching this, and it's like, don't interrupt him now, whatever it is. I don't know what it was, time or whatever, probably. All right, so that's jumped right ahead. I mean, I saw this before, in that year I was gone, whatever, and, what can I do except say, yeah, but I was busy at the time. But if you look down in the description, you'll see a link to that post by HoloCipher, and I answered it, of course, and there with a few comments on bismuth and magnesium oxide, and absorbing and emitting, and that's what both of those things do across a wide. Well, what is it? 70 to 90% is what I came up with of what is. I didn't come up with it. Just Grok tells me the facts, which are pretty indisputable. It comes up with a range 70 to 90, but that's we're not going that deep into this stuff. This is 70 to 90 is enough. You have to read these if you want to dig in, and you will see here that I did that for you and left it there And the bottom line is on there somewhere. It comes down to, see there's a lot of detail on this stuff, even, it's technical stuff, but it goes from minus 459, here's bismuth, minus 452, sorry. You need something else for up to 459, and that's very rare in the universe, but it's there. So, all the way up to 80 degrees, which it is today outside here in western Pennsylvania in early April, I guess, which is odd. But what? So that's a lot of what we're going through. If we're an alien or an advanced human, we're going through space, which is made of what? I don't know, but it's full of photons, okay? Chock full, packed, wall to wall. And that material there will move 70 to 90% of them with 2 layers. All right? Now, if you look at these tweets and bore yourself to death with them or dig into it, you're going to see, there it is right there. Well, this is Grok's answer. Use your own, do your own. But you can see the line of thinking here. That's all I can do here. Well, let's just read it. In short, magnesium oxide with bismuth tunability is exceptionally well matched to the most abundant and energetically important parts of the cosmic EM spectrum, M-, the cool, the Big Bang glow, and the light of the stars and galaxies, including dust-processed IR. It misses the rare but high-energy tails of X-ray gamma. Well, we'll find something for that, and we'll find something for visible, and we'll find something for this or that. That's why silicon was invented by God. And low ultra frequency radio, that's the 459 temperatures and other things down below. I call it below terahertz, gigahertz. So the combined ranges cover 70 to 90% of the universe's EM radiation energy. That is because CMB, microwave THC, dominates the photon budget. How? Hello. That's what it is. Bismuth, you don't even have to dope it that much. All you have to do is blast it up and down with different stimulations, and it's the same bismuth. And that's covered in these tweets somewhere too. There's a whole litany of, and it's on my X. So if you don't follow me there and you're interested in this, I suggest you do it, because you'll find out about how to manipulate these things to absorb and emit. Thank you for saying emit, Gary. Absorb and emit, which is what they're going to do, and they're supposed to do. And here we have Davis and Eric Weinstein, talking about whatever, something else, okay? So it gets, from my viewpoint, it's annoying. It's interesting. I watch all of it and listen to all the spaces on it and stuff, but, I'm just saying, hey, here's the bottom line over here. Look, whatever. By photon numbers, it's even higher. CMB photons vastly outnumber others. CMB photons are as terahertz as you can get. If you look up terahertz in a dictionary, you're going to see a CMB photon in its yearbook picture, okay? So, you're telling me that 70 to 90%, yes, okay? Yeah, I'm telling you that. Look it up for yourself. That's the first you're hearing of it. Well, you should have been listening earlier. That goes for everybody that's allowed to talk about it. So, let's get off of that rant. Oh, yeah, here we go. Well, here's another, these are linked. These tabs are linked. So when I start talking about them, you can go look at them and ask your own questions on these AIs. Describe how bismuth crystals can act as waveguides, blah, blah, blah. I'm not reading you all this crap. I just told you, well, here's we can look at this. Effective cryogenic temperatures, blah, blah, minus 452. I already told you that, didn't I? Well, go look it up yourself, and then go look up what does that mean. If we could do that, what would it mean? You're using the energy in space to move through space. That energy, you can call it momentum if you want. You pull it in, you squeeze it, and you blow it out the back. It's idiot-proof. So before I start pounding tables, let's keep looking down here. Well, yeah, just look at that, and you'll see that that's exactly what you want. Oh, my gosh. And it tells you how it works. Yeah, this particular thread tells you. Well, you ask it, well, why does just one material move all these wavelengths? Because you can adjust them. The short answer is, dumbed down for me so I can remember it, is you adjust the material somehow. You stretch it, you pull it, you literally zap it. There's a whole list. They say it, well, it's ballistic, electron waveguides, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the light runs into the electrons that are floating around in the bismuth, and it flings them. They interact, and they're guided. They move. They pull it in, move it through, and spit it out. In, through, out, and around. That's what you want. There is a strong coherent coupling. Well, this stuff even bolds the important stuff. The headlines. And where's the part where it tells you? All these tabs are weighing this thing down. When usually I have it open more than this. But because these are unusual ones. Yeah, here's how you do it. Electromigration, gate, voltage, magnetic fields, temperature itself, strain or pressure. You just have another layer there that runs magnetic fields past the bismuth. Okay, open up the bismuth with the magnetic field so it pulls in more of minus 398 temperature degrees, whatever. Where are you? If you get closer to the sun, you want something else, you shut that off and you turn on the, temperature itself. Light controls light. That's the first thing you read in the fundamentals of photonics textbook. So, it's a control system like any other one. So, let's bottom line it again, get out of there, that rant. So this was another tweet that came up, post. I guess it has to do with bubbles are coming out and talking about something or other. And I guess bismuth was mentioned there. And so I felt the need to repeat myself in response to that and saying yes, it's going to move all those photons. A major chunk of everything in the universe. You see that thing you're looking at there? That's all the photons in the universe that represents them. And a good chunk of them are covered by the magnesium oxide and the bismuth. And the stuff that isn't, we'll get stuff for that. It's not that hard. Like, for example, I'll say silicon because it's on the top of my head. What we use for the gamma and X-rays, frankly, I forgot, but I have a thread on that somewhere. Ask Rock that. And we'll add it up. And then, I even have a thread somewhere, and I have them saved. It tells you how to cover the whole spectrum with like 4 or 5 different things. 6 maybe. There's always some oddball that needs special treatment. But there's there's your map. There's your energy. There's the medium you're going through. That's not what space is made of, because under there's gravitons, in my opinion. Other people call it space-time, whatever. Gravitons, torsion gravity, whatever. It's something. But we do know gravity and light interact. How exactly? We don't have that nailed. That's why we need the Davises and the Weinsteins with sharper math skills to start looking at that. And get out of their worldviews of only GR and or only what's he call it, geometric unity, GUT, I guess, I don't know. And that there I promote an old video of mine saying why terahertz, and if you want to see that, you can find it, and it goes into more depth on why, on that aspect. I don't know how long that one is. It's a couple of years old. Oh, here we are. We asked Rock about, is magnesium oxide a good waveguide for any part of the spectrum? Yeah, it answers it for you. What's it? Where's the bottom line? Because it gives you a lot of detail here, and I want a simple paragraph to read to you. Yeah, it just covers different, optical range, UV, visible, near, IR. Okay, I'll take it, because the universe has a lot of that. And we're going to need this for sure. So if you can get all that through one material, or one waveguide material, covers that. The bismuth covers the other stuff. The other 2 or 3 materials cover the other stuff. That's why it's a layer of stuff. Aluminum's another one in there somewhere. I should have linked that. I'll just do a video on that. I'm doing videos again. So that's a standalone one. That'd be a good one. Not too long, because I'm afraid this one will go long. But I've been gone for years, so of course it will. So, yes. In short, MgO shines as an optical waveguide material in the visible to mid-IR and extends into UV. Well, that's a lot. For us human beings, that's pretty much where we spend a lot of time. We're not, in our little temperature band, too. So we're aware of all that, and so we're covered when we're at home, too. So that's good. All right. Hey, Grok, bottom line it for me. Well, I think I already read that. Yeah, I already read that, covered that. Oh, and then we're still not even on the video that kicked this off, which was Davis and Weinstein. And a lot of things happened at once last week. Whatever. Here's another post about Bob Lazar from Astral. And it, for some reason, provoked me into saying, meanwhile, Nolan has done more for reverse engineering and thinking correctly about the physics than every Jesse guest and the rest of the higher profile infotainer technical types put together, in my opinion. And some of them are bound by NDAs. I know they can't tell what they really know and think. And that's not even his field. So we have to observe that and give him credit for it. Because he's the one, as far as I'm concerned, he's the only one of them, just with that little 3-minute video, he says more there than all these other knuckleheads. I'm sorry, they're not knuckleheads. All these other esteemed people have said to get to the point, to be right, to get to the bottom line, to develop the future technology, the golden age, to figure out what are the aliens doing, how did they get here, blah, blah. Now, there's a lot that, that doesn't answer every question. That answers the simplest nut and bolt question, which is frankly all I care about, or mostly what I care about. It's what I'm here for, good for, basically. The rest of it's a lot of stuff that may lead to this getting higher profile or not, whatever. Aliens, Trump talking about them, Obama talking about them, what is going on? So, then what happened? Oh, I guess then we get back to where we were supposed to start. In this, again, almost reverse order, because it came to the conclusion already with Gary Nolan. being more hip than these guys. But let's listen to them. Okay. They have something good to say, and they could get on. If they got on the right path quickly, and some other people I can think of, they get on the right path. I mean, a lot of this stuff can go down, certainly in the lifetimes of a lot of people listening. But let's just see. One of these days, some people are going to get clues, and it might come from a disclosure. I think it could. I think some of these people already know things they can't say. But let's go ahead, because that's speculation, gossip on my part. Yeah, I listened to it and interested in it, but I'm just one more opinion on that.
So, we don't have anybody in academia that's pursuing extended electrodynamics?
I don't know.
No, we do. There's a guy named Lee Hively in Colorado Springs, and he has a colleague named Woodside, who I believe is in Australia. And then there's another guy, I think Strobel or Lobel or something. So there are a few of these guys, and they've written a paper about extended electrodynamic.
So another thing that really confuses me is I saw a bizarre video from 1991, which Joe Rogan pointed me to, with this guy Bob.
About the extended electrodynamics, which comes up again in a little while. Yeah, that's great. If only there's a fifth dimension. That's a lot of fancy math for footwork, and it's impressive. And I'm finally starting to follow that a little bit more, because you'll see why. There's a guy on X now that's explaining that clearly, in my opinion. I like him. I'm going to recommend him. And but come on, fifth dimension, all right? I mean, it's interesting, it's good, but you got to focus on what is right in front of you, and that's photons everywhere. All right. That's not even the main point of this little break, but let's go.
Bob Lazar seemingly talking nonsense.
Yes.
Do you recall what he says about the fact that you do this engineering with gravity wave A and gravity wave B?
No, not entirely. It's been so long. He doesn't know what he's talking about, because he was a radiation health monitor for...
We used to call them rad techs at the nuclear plants I worked at. They check your badge, that's all. Make sure you didn't get zapped over the workday.
Kimber Meyer Company, and they were a logistics service company servicing Los Alamos National Lab in Area 51. He never had security clearances. He never graduated. He dropped out of his first year of college, et cetera, et cetera. He's not a physicist.
Well, I know that.
Yeah.
I know.
So I don't remember, but all I know is he claims element 115 created antimatter, which somehow had...
I should have put the Clown World video handy to parts of this.
something to do with creating gravitational waves in the propulsion
system. Did you hear the
Jeffrey
Epstein tape with Steve Bannon?
No.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't know what he was talking about either.
No, I'm not.
But you can tell that Jeffrey Epstein was talking to people who knew what they were talking about, and he's this garbled version of this. Let's assume the same thing for Bob Lazar. Let's assume that he was janitorial staff and that he just happened to be in a sensitive location and that he's saying something, because it sounds to me like total garbage. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. He says this thing, which is crazy. He says there's gravity wave A and gravity wave B, and you most likely think of gravity as gravity wave B. That's the long-range stuff with stars and planets. He says, but gravity wave A is different, and you associate it with the strong nuclear force. So, of course, I want to throw up in my mouth, right? Yeah. And he says this thing about QCD, quantum chromodynamics of the strong nuclear force, is what gravity wave A is all about. And so the idea is going to be that somehow, if you could actually understand that what was going on in QCD had to do with gravity, you would understand that that's the source of strength with the ability to actually do something with space and time. So, seems totally stupid, but let me just point out the following thing. There are only two Lagrangians or actions that I know of that
Listen up, folks.
give an Euler-Lagrange equation with the curvature appearing without a derivative in front of it. One of them is the Einstein-Hilbert action, which when differentiated gives you the Ricci curvature minus the scalar curvature over 2 times the metric. The other one is a thing called the Chern-Simons function.
Yeah, it's been years.
Chern-Simons action.
Yeah.
The Chern-Simons
Does that have anything to do with why they all give off photonic signatures?
action comes from something called the transgression of the Pontryagin class in the Chern-Weil representation.
Yeah.
Got that?
That is part of QCD. In other words, the normal Yang-Mills Lagrangian we would represent as F.
So they're digging into something they call nonsense and looking,
inner product F, norm square of F, where
Yeah,
F is the field strength.
From the topology of
So because the janitor and the rad tech said something, we're going into the Lagrangian of theta. Okay, folks? This is why the eyes are not on the ball. All right?
what is Geometry and Topology for Physics, and I can't remember who the author of that book was, but I've seen that.
But only in dimension 4, you can form a different quantity, where you take F inner product star F, where star is the Hodge star or complementarity operator. And that thing generates the Pontryagin class, which when transgressed gives you the Chern-Simons, which gives you the Lagrangian that is closest to general relativity.
Is that why they glow? Because of all that...
Interesting. I haven't seen that.
Well, because nobody's talked about it ever.
Okay.
So I think this is the first time I'm ever mentioning it in public.
In other words, you're riffing. Okay, that's fine. It's a casual conversation. All right. Where's the...
So the thought that I had is, assume that Bob Lazar is an unreliable narrator, and that he was hanging around water coolers and he was hearing crazy stuff, and that it's a mix of bullshit and something. Is it possible, Eric, that what he's talking about is that the theta term from QCD is what he's calling stupidly gravity wave A, which no person I've ever heard of has ever used that terminology?
I wouldn't think he'd be consciously aware of that. I don't know if it's possible. It's too... I can't rely on anything he says because of his history.
Dr. Davis, just to play devil's advocate with Bob Lazar, if you were saying there's this long-standing UFO legacy crash retrieval program, you have one guy.
How do you get from point A to point B when the area between them is full of free energy called photons? Do you think that would help at all? Just to have the free stuff on the way to use to get there?
Who's come out
Have you ever even considered it, or are you looking at theta?
publicly and has not changed his story since
Oh, I
89.
know, but
We
he-
didn't really know too much about the existence of Area 51, definitely not S4.
I've never been there.
But how would he know about, Janet Airlines,
worked
a
On and on about this.
flight
Los
there?
Alamos, and he worked at the unclassified logistic support facility over on McCarran, over on Sunset Boulevard, next to not Sunset Boulevard, Sunset
The Sunset Grill?
right next to McCarran Airport. There's a row of light industrial buildings along Sunset Road, and McCarran is right across the street. So Kimber Meyer was there. EG&G Special Projects was like next door. So he didn't go because he didn't have clearances. His job was just a radiation health badge monitor. So people that get on the Janet flight to go to Area 51, he gives them their radiation badges. When they come home from work, they get off that Janet flight, they got to give them back.
Just like at the nuclear plant, except you walk out a gate. There's no flights. You walk from your office to the gate.
those badges back to him. And his job is to check those badges every day to make sure that they're
Okay, but
He's not a theoretical
That's it.
physicist, but he does have engineering chops. Like he runs currently United Nuclear. He literally put a jet engine on the tobacco
again,
Honda.
Yeah, I know.
Guys,
But that's
I-
just a tinkerer. He's a hobbyist. He's also been twice convicted of felonies, including.
This isn't, guys.
He's a nutcase.
I have no interest in Bob Lazar, the person. The key question is, if he was proximate to information that he garbled, is it possible
Could it be
to
possibly
take
that?
the
I just
garbled
don't know, but
message
it's-
and associate QCD with two sectors, a Yang Mills sector and a Pontryagin sector, and that the churn wave representation of the Pontryagin sector inside of QCD with associated with the theta term
Focus.
can lead to something which has Einstein-like properties, which is that the
That would be
differentiate.
remarkable.
That would be remarkable,
That would
right?
be absolutely remarkable. The vacuum energy of QCD
the thing
is
that I'm
stupendous.
so the thing that I'm so let's get into vacuum energy and 0 point and what the source of energy is for all of these things.
Okay.
I'm very turned off by certain attempts to mine, like, if you look at the Heisenberg uncertainty relations, one of the great innovations in our time is that they've been associated to the symplectic form on phase space in ordinary classical Hamiltonian dynamics. In other words,
Does that sound like MacGyver to anybody?
you take the space of configurations of a mug on a table, then you add the momenta, so that doubles the space. It's
Does it solve the problem or move ahead an iota in any way, given what your reality shows you?
size to go from configuration space to phase space, position
Correct.
to position and momentum.
Right.
On that space, there's a guaranteed object called the symplectic form that comes just out of the math. The big innovation was to say, that thing is actually at the base of a different structure called a line bundle, and it's the curvature tensor.
Now, I got to admit, this part, he explained it well enough almost for me. I can start to see some of his higher dimensions. It takes a while for a non-professional to see that. Something about him waving his hand and this part coming up is pretty instructive. I don't know why. Oops.
For this line bundle with a connection whose sections form the Hilbert space in quantization. Effectively,
Yeah.
in a certain sense. And
Do you
people,
mean fiber bundle?
Well, yeah, it's a line bundle, exactly. That line bundle, its L2 sections properly taken, polarized, there's a whole rigmarole,
Right.
sort of self-quantize the manifold. In other words,
Yeah.
that the classical mechanics leads naturally to the quantum theory when you realize it's not an isolated degree 2 object, but a degree 2 object that comes as the curvature of something else that we had not thought to study. If that's the source of the Heisenberg uncertainty relations, that's a curvature you can't get rid of. So if you try to mine it, I don't really see how you extract from something that can't be lessened. On the other hand, were you to try to tap into the dark energy, if that is in fact a VEV, a vacuum expectation value, rather than a
Now, that's another story.
hard constant,
Just from a simpleton's viewpoint. Go ahead.
could that be used as a on-demand power source?
Sure could be.
You work on that at all?
No, but I looked at people who sent me their ruminations on that idea.
Here's where we're coming up to the money.
And it looked pretty intelligent, but it wasn't very well developed, in my opinion. So I think that would be a great direction to go, and I like where you're going here.
I'm just trying to be
Yeah, keep going.
constructive. Let me try another
I
one.
like where you're going. I think you pointed out some stuff I'm not aware of, other than the dark energy aspect, which I'm already aware of, which need to be followed up on.
Imagine for the moment that you embed what we currently call space-time in its space of all point-wise Lorentzian metrics. So every way you could possibly have of measuring length and angle through a series of 3 rulers, 1 watch, and 6 protractors.
Right.
Okay. That's a 14-dimensional object that I work with on a daily basis that I call the observers. We don't have to get too far into this. But the point that I want to make is the following. There are ways of traveling through time and space. And I want to say also that time really should always be times, because the number of actual temporal dimensions we currently think is 1, but it doesn't need to be 1.
I agree.
Okay. We talk a lot about entanglement. We talk a lot about wormholes. We don't talk about pinch to zoom.
We don't talk about what?
Pinch to zoom. Imagine that you pointed at a star that you wanted to visit. And imagine that you could find some way of traveling in 10 transverse dimensions.
Okay.
Where what you're doing is growing the ruler in the direction between you and that star. Now, once the ruler says 1 foot, you need the energy to walk 1 foot,
Right.
not the energy to walk 4 light years.
Right.
And then you have to put the ruler back, so you have to shrink the ruler to...
All right, I think I might have missed the part that everyone saw it. It was the highlight of the whole thing, where Weinstein says to Davis, do you have something, how would you do all this with GR? And he says, well, all I have is GR. And the thing that got me to get the microphone out was then, Weinstein, here's a guy that has his own theory. How would you do it? You're the guy that had from the physics angle. I'm just here from the dumb, basic, common sense, what's right in front of you, which is the photon, that viewpoint. This guy has the highest end mathematical viewpoint, and he's asking the guy who just told you he doesn't know, and you know he doesn't know. But my burning question is, and at some point I was like, ask it, Davis. Here, he set you up perfect for this, and I understand this is live. You can't think on your feet all the time. No one can. But he had the perfect opportunity to say, hey, man, you're the one with the geometric unity theory. How would you do it? So that's, somewhere in all his dimensions, how would you do it? Is there a way in your world, as you imagine the world? What if it's right? Look at it that way. In other words, here's the guy that could do something, but he's asking why it hasn't been done. We all know somebody like that, and we've done it ourselves. So I don't want to sound like I'm harping on this guy too much. But that question was hanging out there, and that when I saw that, I had to make this little post here with the guy from No Country for Old Men making that face about of what use are your rules if they brought you here or whatever it was, because to quote myself, there's a reason it's called reverse engineering and not reverse physicisting. And that got a lot of, for me, a small X account, that got a lot of likes, surprisingly. That's typically nobody gets what I'm trying to say, but not nobody, but it's not exactly the cheapest, quickest joke anyone can make. But actually, that is a cheap, quick joke now that you mention it. But there's a reason for it. It didn't come out. It didn't come out of nowhere, and that's why it's like, I guess some people are more problem-solving oriented than, and it has to do with their career, their life, whatever it is. So I don't know. I just see a wide open solution right there, like the only thing no one looked at. Anyway, somebody looked at it, and more looking at it, and I think they might have found it behind closed doors. I don't know. A lot of mysteries there. Tell me, Gary, did it float on? I know you didn't see it with your real eyes, but did you see it with on a video? I don't know, team player. What do you think? All right, let's go on. This next thing here, it's just a 5-hour and 30-minute video made of an X space by a guy named, or an account named UFO Intros on YouTube, and it was good. They discussed a lot of different angles of what was said, and I listened to the whole thing. So I thought I'd put it there, and I appreciate these guys making the spaces and making the videos too. So again, click. Look at that wheel spinning. This internet works fine. It's better here. I moved. This is my new place, and it's like 10 times better, except when you really want it. But I think I've had too many windows open too long. Thing is, you can't close them all and refresh without resetting up, a lot of sizes and things like that. So it's just a guy saying crazy pills from Zoolander, and that's how I felt after watching that Jesse and Michael's video, which was great. Shout out to him too. So, moving on, where do we go? We're shifting gears here too. Oh, okay. As a result of that, we have a mainstream X account with 2.3 million followers. This covers a lot of stuff. And he's saying Eric Weinstein calls on VP Vance and DNI Tulsi Gabbard to invite theoretical physicists to work on the UFO program. And that's kind of where the crazy pills come in. It's like, well, yeah, they should work on it, but what about your theory? I don't know. I might be missing something huge there, but so here I go off. What's he gonna do? Conflate a mathematical concept like space-time with a physical reality? Because that's a major problem with it. You get into the math, people start confusing math with nuts and bolts. Okay? This is a nut and bolt, this pen here. Okay, it's a solid thing that exists in physical space. It's not a mathematical concept. So quit talking about space-time all the time, please, until you know what it is. How are you going to engineer with it? So I know it's a placeholder to an extent. I think it'll be replaced with, well, that's what we meant by gravitons the whole time. That's the way I see it going. There's too much quantum gravity stuff going on. They're fine, people are coming up with new easy experiments that might work. I mean, relatively easy. No colliders, no nothing, but it's got to be done. It's just going that way. It's all it's kind of obvious. It's going to go that way, and that's consistent with torsion gravity anyway. So, which is a mainstream kind of thing. So, I can live with it until it happens. And a graviton and a photon certainly can interact. Even if you write it down on paper, it can be done. And we see it in the real world with Eddington and bent gravitational lensing. Well, okay. If gravity affects light must affect gravity in some way. Either that or there's no causation in the world, in the universe. No symmetry, no conservation of whatever. So what's that mean, Kelly? That means if you get your light to interact with gravity in some way, you don't know that, you don't have that solution yet. Boy, I could use some mathematical brains on it, though, and physicists, and guys like Davis and Weinstein, if they had the right problem set out in front of them. But as we'll see in the past years, things are happening in that area that are pretty good. So let's move in the science world, and we'll get to that. So this is me complaining about space-time and math. The interface between these geniuses and the real physical world. Like, why is this guy the only game in town? Couldn't you take 10 minutes out and do what's in that little paragraph there? Which said, I guess I'll read it. I haven't read it for a while out loud. Quote, this is quoting myself from that web page, which is a speech. That said, I will go on to suggest that equations around supercavitating bubbles of fluids within variable gravitational fields might be one way to describe this, or it might be done with, bold, optomechanical force studies for light matter interactions in a gravitational field. Where's the math? Where's your missing math? What are they doing in Stony Brook? Blah, blah, blah. But right now, there is not even a consensus on photon mass for thrust, despite photons being the drivers of most of it, barely even, this is important, the notion of fields of light in air or water where the force of gravity within is diminished that I've ever seen. Now that's, we classify physics if we want to. That's national security. Well, I wonder, if you looked in there, would you find a file that says fields of light in air or water where the force of gravity within is diminished? There's a file on that somewhere. Don't tell me that some of these people didn't look into this at some point. It can't be missed. I mean, a human being can't miss it, let alone the top people they supposedly have, and their advanced AIs and whatever. They should have known this a long time ago, at least to look into it. But go ahead, check the check the scholarship, see what's missing. Why isn't it there and have been rejected? Surely some crackpot looked into it, and other people, wiser minds prevailed and said, that's not there. There's nothing to that. That's wrong. Whatever. It's just a big gap, and I can't explain it. Okay, nor have I ever seen a model for a point of mass deterministically controlling its own light bubble in a gravitational field. Well, you're not going to have that yet, but you're going to have that, because that's what, that's where your sports model is what? A point of mass. And what's it doing? It's deterministically controlling its own light bubble in a gravitational field, in my opinion. Of course it has radiation pressure coming off the thing, and you can't touch it. And it just has every hallmark of exactly what I'm trying to say here. So, anyway, and Gary, don't blame me. Gary Nolan's looking at it too, all right? And he's coming at it from the other angle. It's the same thing, absorbing and emitting. And if Lazar's telling the truth about some of it, or some of his hearsay he heard, whatever it is, that it does add up at some point. So, that's why I have to watch these bizarre Lazar things, because even if 10% of it's true, it's a hint to something that he heard. Just same as Weinstein just said. So perhaps something like that exists or should exist for supercavitating hypersonics and submarines, but I doubt it is such a region. Okay, that's just stuff there to interest mass people. But the bottom line is, where's the mass for that? Where's the field of scholarship for that? Is it coming up? I think it is. You can see pieces of it forming, because it's relatively new. So, but if you can look out ahead a little bit and just see trends, which I can see that. I mean, that I can do. Okay, I can't do the higher math. I can almost follow it sometimes, but I can see trends, and I can see. I'm looking out the window there at a universe full of light, and that's what it's free energy, and that's what you're supposed to be going through, and it interacts with gravity. So don't tell me there's nothing there. There's more there than there is to this fifth dimensional Palooza, whatever. And I put this next part in here, another Weinstein thing, I was afraid I'd start ripping on him too much, and so I put this in here, which I don't think I did, but I put this in there to say, hey, this is why this guy is very indispensable, indisposable, singular, whatever, with his interface with UFOworld. Now, he's talking about science generally, and he has an axe to grind and an agenda, as we all do. So what? Good. He's got some good points that go unanswered here. And, this is good. I mean, some of it's late. When he gets into the Francis Collins and Tony Fauci, it's like, well, where were you when you were sitting on a fence when people were getting kicked off then Twitter or whatever for questioning the wisdom of the science. And, now you're coming out with it, as are a lot of people. Is that what's his name? Yeah, it is, Andreessen. He's another one, but he admits it. He sat on his hands for a while with these clowns in the Biden White House, for example, sitting on his, well, we're going to say what AI is. Okay, they're like that with everything, but that's not right for this. That's another rant on somewhere else. But there it is. He saw it in real time. The White House just said they've been classifying disruptive math and physics and turning them into state secrets since the nuclear era. So I can't help but suspect that maybe that happened to what I'm trying to say here. All right? Because first off, I think it's right. Secondly, why is it missing? There should be something in the file that says, that's crap, we tried it. Instead, there's nothing. So, zero, not much. So, one thing, this was supposed to be funny about Weinstein, and I guess I am ripping on him now again. I want to thank him for introducing me to the song, which I'd love to play right now, but it's by the Rolling Stones here, called Sitting on a Fence. But sometimes he's off the fence. And I wish I could find that time. I made a mistake with the timestamps. Okay, that's what I did. I closed one that was stamped correctly where he made that one remark we already discussed, but I didn't have set up. Shame on me. All right, shifting gears. Here's a guy, Andrew Cote, and he's a physicist and entrepreneurial. There's this engineering physicist, writes about deep tech, energy, physics, sci-fi, and whatever founder. Oh, he's a founder of Hyperstation X, which organizes Deep Tech Week, which is another thing we'll get to. So we want to listen to what he has to say, even though sometimes he steps out too, makes mistakes, like one of these. He said something here. I started complaining about physicists. Okay, I start getting into a frenzy when I see these things. A couple of these things pile up at the same day. It's like, all right, I got to take it over there and argue with this guy to make a point about something what someone else said, and get into it. But when there's something here that Elon Musk said, or something here. There's something more to it. Oh yeah, here we go. And this is key to what my existence might be. Where is it? Here it is. Let me read this from Grok. Elon saying, and others have said it, the basics of physics, quark, leptons, photons, etc., are mostly mapped. So future intelligence, AI included, will focus 99% on inventing new stuff from those rules, not rewriting them. Rare paradigm shifts like Newton, Einstein aside, It'll be creation over discovery. I see it as a shift to explosive engineering and imagination, building worlds, not just decoding one. Solid perspective on where progress heads next. That's what I totally agree. I mean, it's on the engineering side. We got a ton, and now I'll bash the engineers now, okay? We got a ton of physics there that's not being used, okay? They'll see something happen with physics and say, wow, that must be the best thing or the only thing that's ever going to happen on this phenomenon. And that is a big mistake. And that's got to be, you need a paradigm shift on thinking on that. And I think, Elon's right about that. And whoever up here in the thread, it might have been Andrew, starting, I forget who said what. These things go hundreds of responses. But that is true. We got to do the engineering with the physics we have, and we are not doing it. And it's just, and we're going off on theta and whatnot and fifth dimension when you're not even looking at what you got to work with. All right, let's move. We'll keep moving here. Where are we? Here we are. Oh, the Tech Week, which I was going to go to. It started out, it was 2 hours at the thing, and then some happy hour after that. And turned out, you have to be invited to the happy or cocktail party, or pay $2,500 for VIP. So I'm not going, to a bar on Bond Street. This was in New York City, and it's funny because it was like one block from where I used to work in the MetLife building. It was a 237 Park, and MetLife was 200. So it was the old neighborhood, and I'm due for a trip up there and all that, But in the end, it turned out to be a 4-hour thing, which I might have gone to, I might have gone to had I known that in the beginning. But anyway, there's a couple links to it here. I guess now it's only here for the sake of history of when this video was made, roughly. There it is. And there's some of the speakers: Andrew, Harold White, Charles Bueller, Eric Weinstein, Derek Shani, John Bell Institute for the Foundations of Physics. I'd imagine that'd be an interesting guy. And Mark Sokol, of course, who we've mentioned here before. Been to his place a couple times in New Jersey. So that's what that was. And see, look, their fancy thing was at Zero Bond, which I used to know this area so well. I was hanging around there all the time. And but I couldn't get into that. So, but my plan was, and everyone listening here, you're probably a nerd to an extent, as the word applies to this engineering stuff in this tiny little realm. You got to get across the street. You can walk out of that place, and where's the after party at 9 o'clock after the cocktail hours closed, and you're kicked out of there sharp. So where are you going to go? You're going to Milano's Bar. Okay? I'm telling you, you're going. Follow me. Okay? 51 East Houston Street, New York City. How familiar am I with this area? So, in that bar, too. And why is that? Well, first off, it's known as one of the best dives in New York. It's what it is. We all know what a dive bar is. So, unless you really hate them, you want to check it out. But why, Kelly, are you talking about it in relationship to alt propulsion and UFOs and all these far-out physical theories? Because that's what Tesla used to drink. The Tesla. You want to go in there and sit on his bar stool? Go in and ask which one it was. Because his laboratory was right across the street in what used to be a pool hall when I was there. I don't know what it is now. I don't think it's a pool hall anymore. You can go right over there. They have this picture on the wall, and it just has that's just where you want to be. So if you have the thing again next year, I am going to show up, even though I don't get invited to the second thing. Which, these small clubs, they can't invite 300 people in there. No way. So, but I will see you at Milano's at 9. And then I'll take you around to the rest of these places around there. There's, 1,000 bars there. It's a lot of fun. All walking distance. Enough about that, because I ruminated over that for a week. Should I go? Maybe I can't go. Got to get an answer, whatever. Anyway, next year. 237 Park, amazing. So, here's another thing, which I didn't see much of on X, is look down in the description, you'll see a link to LinkedIn. And this guy, Martin Tajmar and Les Johnson, they're having a thing. They're asking for articles for breakthrough propulsion for spacecraft in aerospace. And aerospace is the name of a journal, MDPI journal. I just didn't see it across, I posted it, but I don't think people saw it. Some people, because some people might want to get into that. People that are listening. I don't know who's ready for that. I mean, you got to write a formal paper and whatnot, but somebody might be ready to write something interesting for them. And Tajmar is open-minded. I know that much. I think he tested Casimir and the M drive and whatever. Maybe didn't get the results that everyone wanted, but he tried. So he's open-minded. Now let's keep moving. Here's the thing that came out. This is all within like 2 weeks or something of each other. Hold on, I need a little sip here. I recommend you listen to this video. Watch it. The guy's a good speaker too. He's natural on camera, unlike myself. Jamie Childress, Boeing technical fellow, retired, former DoD research engineer. So he's got the chops, and he worked in the field. I never worked in this field, so which can help. 'Cause outsiders can see things. So, but whatever. This guy, he was in it. So he's out now, and he's talking about space-time as a material. So this is interesting to me, because it's right on the cusp of, it's a material, so don't call it space-time. That's my beef. But you should listen to it. It was really good. And in other words, he's saying, well, I don't know exactly what his point. You could take it. It's like, okay, what should I absorb from this? It's like, maybe stop with the beef about the mathematical concept, which I won't do on this, but there's we kind of change it so it represents something. And he's saying it is something, but okay, well then don't call it that. Call it something. How silly is all this? But it's interesting to look at. It's a good exercise in knowing what you think you're talking about. See, he's talking about 0-point energy, virtual particles, Casimir effect, possibly this, possibly that. Just going along, he's just saying it's not nothing. And I don't know who says it's empty. That's the biggest red herring ever. People say space-time is empty. It isn't. No one said it was. It's obviously full of cosmic microwave background radiation and something else underneath it, that's up for debate. But calling it the same thing a guy called a mathematical concept, that confuses people. That slows down progress in actual engineering. So, listen to it anyway. Don't listen to me. Okay, here's a little grok thing on thread on on the spin to theoretical graviton, chirality, it goes on and on. Me asking about it. And how, this is where could it be changed? Could the chirality of a graviton be changed by interaction with a photon? Bottom line, yes. Would it be contradictory to the Einstein-Cartan torsion ideas? Bottom line, no. Consistent. And so I just keep asking here questions like that, And the bottom line's out. It's like, that's possible. Yeah, sure, yeah. But, AI will give you the answer you want sometimes. But this is not, on this, they're pretty unforgiving. So I've been told no a few times. Sometimes I reframe the question. But on this, it is what it is. Spin 2 thing and a Einstein-Cartan. These equations, they may be coming at it from different mathematical angles, but if the mathematical angles are consistent, like what's coming up next with Sunny White, if they're consistent, then that's good. Here's something. Is torque related to torsion? Of course it is, idiot. Yes. And I asked, is it the same etymology? Yeah, of course it was, but similar to torque, which is a Latin word, to twist. I knew that. So, coming down. I think we're on the other side of it. Here's Andrew Cote again, talking about what? He's talking about what I just said. Good segue for once. The Sunny White thing. People get a little excited about these things, saying, well, the quantum vacuum is consistent with the configurations of and energy levels of a hydrogen atom. Okay? Well, that's good. He showed it mathematically, but from my standpoint, trying to get something tangible done in the area of light matter interaction and gravitational field, where hydrogen is clearly the mass that's marries the two, light and matter, mass, weight, whatever you want to call it, because they interact so well. It's the fine line, it's the front line. And so, but what? So they remain the same, and they're very useful. And there's a snarky hydrogen thing coming up, but it has to be said again. An observation that has to be said again. So here's the missile man, and what's he says? I think he's talking about that same thing. I think he's saying, see, Andrew deleted his tweet because he got a little excited about we're going to put oil and gas out of business with this thing, with this the fact that the quantum vacuum and hydrogen are consistent. Okay, well, getting ahead of your skis there. He's probably all excited for that convention he's running up in New York. So he deleted that, and then the missile man spells it out why. And a couple of paragraphs here. I gave him the thumbs up on that because he was right. And then what happened? This is me. I think I'm starting to get into, the title of the thing, Photonic Signatures. Now, once again, I post this on X a lot, okay, but I guess I haven't talked about it since last time, a year ago, since because I started doing it in September. It seems like I've done it a million times, and all I'm saying here is, here's a post from Merrick Van Renkampf, and he, something he follows, who he is. And once again, identical blah blah blah, identical IR signatures. Okay, all these things ever have is freaking, pardon me, photonic signatures of some kind. But it's like you get blank stares and zero. I don't want to say zero interest, but certainly there's a lot of synapses that haven't snapped on this stuff with people that you'd think it would have. Because, well, here's why I say, well, okay, once again, and I'm looking at this guy here, Brian's ongoing and ever-increasing lack of surprise to see another photonic signature to the exclusion of. And yeah, I'm kind of dumping on all this stuff now, except my own. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. To the exclusion of signatures that are 0 point, gravity generation, warp drive, black holes, secret sauces, Casimir, quantized quantumness, negative mass, plasma, Albuquerque, wormholes, obvious boob bait, EVOs, bent space-time, Biefeld-Brown, isotopes, dimensions, curved space-time. None of this stuff's being thrown out the back of these UFOs, or observed or measured. None of the potentials are. None of the negative energy is. Warped space-time is not coming out of the back of these. Okay? Space-time metric engineering is not what's burning people and giving them sunburn. Fairy dust, red shift, blue shift, parroting, resonating argon, unmeasured, swinger limits, scalar, this and that, metric engineering, electrostatic. What are the electrostatic trails and signatures? Where are the fundamental universal constants magically changed by yet another unintelligible equation? Where's the polarizable vacuum? I don't see any of it being polarized. Where's the ether dust? The aether, the ZPE, the magic beans? Where's the element 15 left on the site? Where's the khaki-fed disinformation? Where's the plasma sheath recorded by observers? No, they all see photonics. They see something and they think it's a plasma sheath when they never seen plasma and they never seen a sheath, let alone a plasma. Secret sauce, time travel, dimensions, extended electrodynamics. There's pieces of Maxwell's equations falling off and glowing in the sky, scalar woo, and the rest of the etceteras and also rant. And I ask, just ambient light again, or some form of photonic whatever, 1.6 gigahertz, whatever that is, that's a cold temperature. That's below terahertz. Bismuth won't move that probably. You need something else. So I'm not surprised when it's always photonic. Yet these problem solvers, these big minds, these Weinsteins and Davises that I will listen to them. We could name other names. I hate to pick on them, but they were just on the big YouTube show. Did they ever even think about this? Consider it the most obvious thing? The most obvious freaking thing. Okay. So, there's me. Complete lack of surprise. Ready to punch myself in the face and have another cigarette. And then there's the other version of me, the Brad Pitt version, saying what? Oh yeah. And I actually did forget it until I went back and read it. I forgot gravitational lensing, one of my favorite parroted things I hear all the time from some too much, where they see bent light and assume that there's some great mass there bending it. Okay. And I realize it's people just repeating what they've heard from somewhere else they think is better, okay? And everyone does that. But again, if gravity affects light, light affects gravity. What makes you think what you think you're seeing is not the exact opposite of what you think it is? Be pretty easy that way. Just switch it around. Flip it. It's got two sides, just like that character in the movie. The other guy having a smoke. And I'm saying here, oh yeah, throw gravitational lensing on there too, just because some light was bent. Just like it is by my old man Dollar Tree glasses. Let's get a close-up. Here you go. See that? See that gravitational lensing there? Woo, look at that, huh? How about that? Let's just parrot that endlessly and not consider the fact that the light is being bent on purpose for a reason. Now, maybe the reason every one of these freaking sightings is for another reason. Because I'm doing it the wrong way. Because they want to affect gravity. Okay, it's not gravity affecting light; it's light affecting gravity. Write it down. All right, let's go. Let's keep going. We're winding down, right? Someday. We're still going here. Kurt Jimungo. Why am I? Oh, okay. Here's why. Here's where we shift gears. Here's where I stop complaining. Yeah, all right, I know why. Back here, I'm crying about why isn't this genius here, Witten, finally remembered his name. I always want to call him something else because he looks like somebody I need to know. Why is he not doing what I want him to do instead of what he's doing? Okay, what do I want him to do? I want him to look at fields of light controlling gravity and whatever I said here. I already said it. Why isn't he doing that? And and I have a fairly decent knowledge of photonics compared to a lot of people in this crowd. But I am not a professional in the field. So when I say fields of light back here, I don't want to say I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm imagining something I haven't looked into like I should have. And it doesn't exist. I'm thinking it doesn't exist. And then it's very nascent. That's what we've learned in the past year. Now it's coming out. Because of technology. And we are seeing things like this. I don't want to say I predicted it, but I kind of did. But it's nice to see it coming out, and because it's going to be useful for what we're talking about here. So like I said, if you follow me on X, you're going to see a lot of posts on scientific developments that are relevant to what I'm talking about here. And here's one here. Again, it all falls pretty much at the same time. March 17th, St. Paddy's Day. Topological light fields in free space, fundamentals and applications on Springer. And look at this lovely graphic here. There it is. You see these shapes here, okay? Your flying saucer is not just shining light, randomly, okay? It's putting it out in some sort of a pattern. There's some pattern out there, logically establishing that we're interacting with gravity with light. That's just a truism. We can. And you'll say, well, it's very weak, blah, blah, blah. We'll have that argument later. Everything can be scaled. Anything with a number on it, we can move it, pretty much, when it comes to this. So, what are we doing? We're looking at these. We're going to figure out how to scatter or interrupt or disrupt as much as possible gravity, gravitons with light. or you can call it a Cartan, Einstein, whatever. You know, just call it gravity, if that's your placeholder. If you think it means the same thing as space-time, which is fine with me for now. And you're throwing out these exotic shapes, topological shapes of fields of light. You're not just shining a flashlight. You're not just doing a laser beam, boring laser beam. You're taking those laser beams and wrapping them around each other and putting them into donuts and pretzels and patterns and shapes and, well, what's the word? Topological. Every topological there is. Let's just read a couple here. Spatiotemporal skyrmerons, or skymerons. Spatiotemporal Hopfions, transverse AOM, time-varying AOM. These little shapes here. If you can see them better, find that tweet, blow them up. You'll see what I'm getting at. You're seeing a Mobius strip, an optical Mobius strip. Now imagine you're in your sports model, and you want to throw it in reverse and go look at the Eiffel Tower, but right now you're over Pittsburgh. Well, you're going to throw your optical mobile strip, you're going to flip that inside out. You know, just making stuff up here. You're going to flip that inside out to turn the thing around, and then you're going to turn on your optical ions. And that's going to scramble gravity and make a hole for you right around you. See, there you are there. See that little white? Yeah, that's you. And you're going to go all the way over there from here quickly in a hole of discombobulated. That's a good word. I like that. Discombobulated gravitons, whatever they are. You're going to go in a hole right through there. That's a light bubble moving along. Boom, 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 boom. Very quickly. So it looks to us like a tunnel or a hole. It happens so fast. It'd be like, oh, I've been teleported. Well, you physically moved there, but, it was really fast. You went out in space and came back or something. That's another story. That's a whole other field of study for 1,000 years of, what's that called? Orbital mechanics. Imagine that times infinity. That's what you're doing. These are your nascent-looking fields around you. Here's another one with a pretty picture. And you're going to see more of these if you follow me. See these shapes here? Put your flying saucer in the middle of that. That's going to do something. If you're spewing light out like in these oddball shapes, and it's affecting gravity, it's going to do something. What does it do? I don't know. We got to figure that out. Now, a long time ago, I don't know when, and this has been on my mind for quite some time. So I had to make this animated GIF, I don't know, years ago, of a Tic Tac in I guess that's a hop ion or something. I don't know, it might be a hop torus, I don't remember, one or the other. And that's supposed to represent the shape of a photon. A big giant photon. If you made all the little photons around him move like a big photon, it would look like this. That's my thinking. And you post it on X and people look at it and wonder what it is. And it introduces them to that thought. So we're going to do that, except only with this stuff in real life, So, I don't know. Maybe that's first gear right there. Maybe that's neutral. I don't know. Depends on your gravitational field that day. And these gizmos here, keep following me. Stay with me. I know it's been brutal. So I hope you break it up. I was thinking about playing music in here, but I don't know. That might annoy you even more. So, but what we do here is follow me, and you will see that I often post about these surfaces. What do we call them here? This one is a dielectric tunable metasurface realizing dynamic chiroptical characteristics. Okay, it grabs light and twists it around, pulls it out, screws with the polarity and the chirality and whatever, and that's the kind of thing we want to be able to master, so we can flip gravitons over backwards and discombobulate them, get them spinning or something, whatever it takes to twist them around the wrong way than they are now naturally, and twist them the way we want them twisted. Okay, that's the human being taking control of his environment instead of posting about theta, and taking the bull by the horns and working with what's right in front of you, knowing what you know about it. Now, of course, we need theories too, but that's where I'm coming from. And so, okay, so these are the materials. Okay, these are what human beings are coming up with. That's just one of them. There's, I don't know how many of them. Follow me on X, you'll find out. And that's a good picture to demonstrate it simply. Okay, so let's go to this other. Oh, we're slowing down here. And here's our. So what's the next step after that? There's this little graphic here, probably from China, who's working hard. Maybe harder than us, China. Okay. And they're using AI to come up with these things. And here's their little chart on what we're doing over here. And there's applications here. I don't see the one we want on there yet. But it'll be there. But this stuff does do what we want, and these AIs are designing this for them. And we're getting what? Chiral organic materials, chiral inorganic materials, chiral metamaterials, chiral liquid crystals, twist stacking structural materials. So all that does is, what did Gary Nolan say? Absorb and emit. All right, that's what we're doing. But we got, it's a lot harder than it sounds sometimes. All right, that's that one. Oops. Oh no, did I close a thing? Let's see if I made a mistake here. I don't know. No, we're good. We just have to find out where we were. All right, we were down from here. How far were we? We were past the Tic Tac. We were. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, here we were. So now I want to. Speaking of photonic signatures, which is what this started out to be, sort of, that and the Jesse video, what went on there with the engineers and the physicists, and why aren't there physicists working on this? Well, maybe it's good that they don't, But we certainly want them in on it. Just don't touch anything, and don't get off topic, because that's all you do. This whole thing is off topic. Now we're going to get on topic with the Tedesco brothers of Long Island. Okay, now these guys, who they are, or else you wouldn't be listening to this. And you can click on this if you don't, and look them up, and you will see that that's them with their truck, where they chase these unidentified objects, and they take it out to the beach and park it. And they show up. They're hanging around off Long Island, and all they get is photonic signatures, and that's all they talk about, Well, they say gravitational lensing. They make a simple mistake. That's okay. They're doing enough hard work. They're allowed. Other people maybe should be more careful with it, because what they're seeing, in my opinion, I could be wrong. Maybe little orbs are suddenly making themselves weigh the same amount as Jupiter for some godforsaken reason. Or the little orbs are absorbing and emitting. Maybe they're made out of bismuth and magnesium oxide and silicon and some and aluminum and 3 other things. And they absorb and emit ambient light as needed to keep themselves floating around out there doing whatever the hell they're doing. And that's what these guys are seeing. They're not seeing bent space-time. They're not seeing all that stuff I named. That's all these observers see. Now, that doesn't mean there might be something hidden out there. That we could all be fooled. I'm not making any. I'm a retired lawyer, so I don't make too many statements I can't weasel out of. But that's just common sense too. Don't know. I don't say what I don't know too much. And then this other guy here, he's James Fowler from the. Pardon me, I do need a sip suddenly. He was in the Skywatcher group, and I think Nolan was part of that. And what do they come up with? Photonic signatures. Boom, period. Another one. Here's another one here. UAPX in the University of Albany. Him and Professor Shadegas, who I took his class. You guys have to take his class if you haven't. It's an online class about this stuff. I couldn't participate because I was moving, but I could listen. And it was good. Well, anyway, him and Knuth here, they occasionally go, well, they were with that UAPX. And there's another group in Europe I forgot about, and there's probably some other, Galileo group, that's another one. What do they find when they see these things? Are they finding Casimir effects? Are they finding scalar waves? Are they finding warp drive? Are they finding any of that stuff? Which, to me, it's I'm over it. But you just hear that stuff over and over again, and don't hear photonic signatures, because that's what they are. When this UFO stuff starts coming around in 2017. Those 5 observables, these, what we're now calling signatures, were called signals. And I made a couple of videos and web pages and things about, those aren't signals, those are signatures. And now they're being called signatures. Do I get credit for that? I don't know. Maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe I do. Anyway, I'm glad it happened, because it's right now. Now that this collective mass of people know that, maybe they'll, I may be a little ahead of myself here, but maybe they're going to figure out that, hey, that really does have something to do with the propulsion. It's not some byproduct. It's not redshifting from, Albuquerque or whatever. It's none of that stuff. It's mundane-ish. Maybe that's a problem. It's just too obvious. But, physics-wise, it's not exciting enough, okay? But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of engineering work there to be done. So whoever solves that's going to be excited by their bank account. You know what I mean? So if you're younger, get into photonics now. All right, optomechanics, photonics. So now we're changing. Okay, this sort of follows. So now we're on to the Trump thing. Okay, this happened in the past year, past couple of months actually. And we all know the story about him and Obama. And they're talking about aliens trying to out-top each other, whatever. Throw a few barbs in there, whatever. And, here's the quote from the New York Post. Trump to release government UFO and extraterrestrial files. Extremely interesting and important. Okay, well, we put out some edict of some sort, so something will get done. I mean, it's better than what was out there before. It's better than legislation that never passed, which was only going to drag it out with blue ribbon panels of people who belong in jail anyway. So forget that. Okay, get off that topic. Let's move on. So the point here is due to the tremendous public interest, that's why that's what he said. And when these files start coming out, people are going to want answers, technical answers, all kind of answers. They're going to want technical ones, and I don't think they're going to be satisfied with this gobbledygook about the fifth dimension, or a bunch of other things that aren't readily obvious. And the crowds are crazy, but they also have wisdom, and I think they're going to see, hey, what about all this light? Huh? Why does it glow all the time? And somebody's going to ask the question that I asked a long, long time ago. And that's not why I got into this. Well, it kind of is. I never saw anything glowing or anything like that, for sure. I just saw that there's a thing that's missing in science and technology, and that's this. So here's a little post. Glowing indicates a photonic signature. All right, yeah, well, I say, I highly doubt, I'm answering somebody about something, that this almost universal observable is ornamental or decorative, since it is coming from a supposedly advanced intelligence. Yet theoretical physicists persist at overlooking the absolutely obvious. Why is a thing so obvious so missed? Am I taking crazy pills? You tell me. Leave a note in the chat, folks. Comment, call me a nutcase or something. All right. Here's a missile man thing that must have been relevant. You're never going to make popular media about science that does well and is rigorous because the percentage of the audience that will appreciate the rigor is too small. The desire for mass appeal will compel you to make it simple, sensationalist, or full-blown stupidly wrong content. Well, we're trying to avoid that and just, I'm not the biggest channel here or the fanciest or the most sophisticated whatsoever. It's a boomer shouting into the void versus full-blown stupidly wrong content. Now, what's this doing here? My father was a time traveler by Townsend Brown's daughter. Oh, I don't know why that's there right after that other thing. Oh, here's an aside. Coming to the end here. This was the last thing before I added two more things or something. This guy here, Dr. Paul Wilhelm, he makes some of these things that I don't like understandable. At least now I know why I don't like them better than my bumper sticker brain response. And it's interesting, and it shows you, well, you can see why people would think there is something there to some of these things that other people say there's nothing there. And this one's about, he's big into I think it's about actually it isn't, is it? Yeah, this is something else. The Maxwell and the Heaviside and the Scalar and the Kaluza Klein and the things that might be hidden in there, So, I don't know, I like it. I like at least thinking about it and getting outside of my own box because I do have my own opinion and I have to stick with it, so I don't have a lot of bandwidth to go look at Albu Carey more than once in a lifetime and not I have nothing against it personally, but not find it productive. So whenever I can get a little bit of insight on something new, I point it out. All right. Oh, why is this? Oh, this came out, right? Okay. Like, well, I'll try to get it done. Oh, what happened? Oh, this big thing comes out. This 800-pound gorilla of a Joe Rogan experience with Bob Lazar and Luigi Vitelli, who, it looks like a great thing. It looks like a great piece of art and entertainment. But, I'm kind of with Eric Davis and some other people on that. Like, well, it has to be said. Click. Wow, is this thing bad today?
Oh, a bullshit artist. Did you bullshit last week?
No.
Did you try to bullshit last week?
Yes.
All right, so that was right after Lazar for whatever reason. And Joe Rogan, for that matter. Man, did he go on? I'm not done with it, but he goes on monologues about vaccines and stuff in the middle of this stuff. And, so I don't know. I just keep moving. And this really is the end. Because one more thing came up. You get buried under all that Bob Lazar stuff, which is fun, it's fun, but you just wonder, is there any point to this? Is this ever going to get anywhere besides just being a historical record of some sort? Well, then I get hit with a bunch of Google alerts about the new scientific papers of the day, every 3 days, whatever it is. And here's one: light-driven propulsion of graphene aerogels in microgravity. All right, and it's something new. You can read it yourself, and it says that the combination of Knudsen pumping and photophoretic forces are causing propulsion, basically light-driven propulsion, but this is in the atmosphere, which is fine, and it's not exactly what we want, but to see that it's moving along, people are looking at these things. We don't want to necessarily use aerogels. We want to use graphene, sheets, surfaces, whatever. Easy to maneuver, move a lot of light, controlled by a lot of light, heat. I mean, it works 8 different ways. Good learning material, in my opinion. And I don't know, I got excited about seeing that right at the right time to cheer me up, but, does it work in space? Do you have to have that air? And I asked Grok again, just to triple and double check that I'm not losing my mind over this stuff, and the answer is yes. No, this is talking about thermal, but it works with any photon. A photon is a photon. Let me just read it and know that it applies to more than just heat or whatever this AI has narrowed it down to, because it was the original question has to do with heat. That's what they're working with, but it's true of all photons. That's why your glass gets bent or melts, your old glass. Anyway, yes, in the vacuum of space, absorption followed by thermal, read that as photonic, a re-emission does work as a real propulsion mechanism. Light heats one side more, the hotter surfaces emit more infrared and recoil from the asymmetrical thermal recoils, whatever, blah, 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 radiation pressure to the incoming photons, giving you legitimately, though very small, don't worry, we'll scale it, we won't use aerogels, we'll use things better and better and better and denser and better, and light-based propulsion with no gas required. So in other words, it works in space, it works with photons, in and out, grab the momentum, shoot it out the back. It's brainless. It's so simple and so obvious that I don't know what to do except beat my head against the wall. And thank you for joining me today while I did that and got all that out of the way. What is this? Oh, yeah. Okay, I just read that. So we really are done now. Have you seen the light? How long was that? Oh, boy. Looks like long. So, doesn't matter. I don't care. I had to say it. It's out there. So, there will be an outro of music for my sanity. And hopefully, I don't have to redo this. And I will see you around. What do? I usually blow myself up here to me only. Wave at the crowd. Goodbye, crowd. See you next time.